since June 12th, 2017 last year, when we hosted a press conference at City Hall. On Monday, a friendly reminder, March 27th, 2017, there was what we call a crime vote in Arizona, California by the NFL, who didn't honor their guidelines with the 4.3 relocation, giving a conditional relocation to our Oakland Raiders. On that day, Channel 2 and Channel 7 was present. They asked us, what would you guys do if the NFL allows a conditional relocation? And we told them, we're gonna look into exploring our options legally. Since then, we've had a press conference in City Hall on June 12th, 2017, to acknowledge to the world about an entity that came here to help further explore options. And right now, since that time, we have worldwide first-class law firms that we can't announce right now who are coming to us and coming to our municipalities to let them know that they have a viable solution to further explore our options to take on something that's so landmark for a free contingency without paying a dime and zero liability to the taxpayers of Alameda. So as you can see the visuals of these signs right here, BOS obviously stands for Board of Supervisors. What these entities are offering and what the citizen-driven initiative has done behind the scenes, the more quiet we got the last few months, the harder we've been working. So we just want to remind our viewers out there that nothing died. We're not just coming dormant again and starting this process. We've been stronger than ever. There's a false rumor out there that said we're pursuing this again. That is misleading information. We've been pursuing this nonstop, stronger than ever, and we've had the discipline of protecting confidential and sensitive information to get it to this point where we're at now. And we're excited that our municipalities and Board of Supervisors know as well, there is an opportunity here to finally take care of the bond debt, the $80 to $90 million bond debt that's been sitting on the Oakland Coliseum since 1996, ever since the Raiders came back. There is an opportunity to keep football here in Oakland. There's an opportunity to make sure that interest isn't paid yearly on that bond debt, and we're impressing upon our leaders to come up with a solution that we have brought to them free of charge, zero liability to taxpayers, as well as to honor, as you see, what's called the Coliseum Specific Plan that was created in 2015. The Coliseum Specific Plans, basically, with political leaders, citizens of this county, and faith-based groups, have stated that the Coliseum site is not to be used for biotech. The Coliseum site is sports-driven with football as the anchor tenant. So the combination of all these things that we have, the citizen-driven initiative, and now with the St. Louis initiative paving the way, there are first-class, world-class, renowned law firms who are coming here to offer our municipalities to further explore their options on a free contingency and zero liability to taxpayers to finally solve our problems. So with that said, and in honor of that Coliseum specific plan, that allows entry-level jobs to the most underprivileged communities adjacent to the Coliseum, District 6 and 7, and continues the union jobs of concessions and the hospitality business of hotels. So with further ado, I'm going to introduce Noel Gallo. I'm going to introduce my partner from We Stand With Oakland, Ray Bobbitt. We're also going to have Nate Miley, Alameda County here, and State Assemblyman Rob Bonta, who are all coming together for this cause. So, Ray Bobbitt with We Stand With Oakland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grizz, for setting the stage for this press conference. First of all, we want to thank everybody for coming forward and taking the time and the opportunity to hear our plan of action. As Grizz stated, over a year ago, we started this process. We specifically were in a position in which we decided that if and when there was a vote to allow a relocation, that we as a community would create a circumstance in which we pursue the exploration of legal options. Since that time, we just want to give you guys some specific developments that have occurred. First and foremost, we have initially had a law firm that we brought out in June and did a press conference with, and that was Jim Quinn Law and Godstad. Since that time, we've been able to identify multiple law firms that are interested in taking on this case at a full contingency. And what that means specifically is that these law firms are willing to come in and they're willing to take on this case at no risk to taxpayers. So we thought it was very important that the public knew that that was the scenario, that they realized that there was going to be no risk to taxpayers if this moved forward. And so we were able to identify law firms that were willing to do that. Secondly, we've had an incredible development in St. Louis. As we know, St. Louis pursued with their county and their city and their Joint Powers Authority, they pursued legal action against the relocation of the Rams to Los Angeles. What happened in December is that the NFL and the Rams filed a motion to dismiss the case, and it was denied. Therefore, the St. Louis lawsuit moves forward and is headed to trial. What that also means is that during that time, according to the ruling, there was enough circumstances that allowed for there to be a trial to set forth identifying whether or not the NFL violated its own constitution. So we feel like with that motion to dismiss being denied, that's an incredible development for Oakland. That did two things. First and foremost, it prompted us to be pursued by additional law firms. In addition to that, it created a circumstance in which we have had a groundswell of support from not just community leaders and not just fan groups, but the entire region has asked us to move forward with this process and continue to pursue it. There are two other things that are important to know, is that within our strategy, we have a way to resolve the bond debt on the Coliseum site, which is very important. What we would be looking at in the way of our legal action would be to explore ways to do a few things. First and foremost, we'd be looking at ways to identify a way to keep NFL football in Oakland, but equally as important, the name and the colors here. And more importantly than that, we're looking at a way to get an award in which the bond debt could be paid off. When the Raiders relocated here in 1995, as you know, the city and the county took on a tremendous amount of debt in restructuring the Coliseum to allow for football to be available. And as a result of that, they've been paying on the bond debt ever since. We pay about $3 million in interest per year annually on the bond debt. And that comes from the taxpayers. So our initiative has a way and a design to get that resolved. And in addition to that, making sure that we have an anchor tenant at the Coliseum site. The Coliseum specific plan was strategically designed and agreed upon by 32 community groups came together. And one of the primary focuses of that was to keep professional sports at the site as the anchor tenant. And the reason why that's so important is because professional sports and entertainment at that site is the single most reliable vehicle to provide jobs, entry-level positions for the most underserved community in Oakland, which is District 7. So that's very important to us as well. So we are working diligently. We appreciate, everything that's developed. Our patience and our tenacity has paid off. We're very excited about the developments in St. Louis. That has definitely prompted us and encouraged us. So now we're not just speculating. We actually have a court that's measuring whether or not the Constitution of the NFL is an agreement between the fans and the team. So I just want to move forward and invite to the podium now our city council person, Noel Gallo.
All right. Good morning. Noel Gallo, member of the Oakland City Council, lifetime resident, and lifetime Oakland Raider fan. I stand in support of the Oakland community to hold the Raiders and the National Football League accountable to the good citizen taxpayers of Oakland and Alameda County. Taxpayers who should be able to rely on their elected officials to protect their financial investment. I wholeheartedly support this effort to pursue the National Football League, which has also violated its own relocation guidelines and enriched itself at the expense of the community it left behind. I also believe that the National Football League should reimburse the City of Oakland, the County of Alameda, and the Coliseum JPA for expenses incurred during their attempt to build a new stadium, to negotiate in good faith, and to repay the city and the citizens of Oakland the 90 million plus interest to compensate the city for bonds approved by the Oakland taxpayers for the benefit of the National Football League. Oakland voters, citizens, and taxpayers deserve respect, fairness, and repayment of its good faith investment in the Raiders and in the National Football League success. The Raiders and the National Football League has a financial responsibility they should be held accountable for. The bond debt is the debt. I ask Oakland, the County of Alameda, and other elected officials in the East Bay to join and support our effort to recoup the major citizens' investment. No sports team or franchise, nor the NFL, or the Major Baseball League or other sports franchise authorities should be allowed to take advantage of its communities, and as public officials, we must protect our taxpayers and citizens. And with that, I ask the Alameda County Board of Supervisors to take action and vote to make sure that we pursue the National Football League and make sure that Oakland continues to have a football team present. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel Gallo. Thank you, Ray. Just a quick heads up. We are going to start opening ourselves up to our pro-Oakland supporters and to our friends in the media. We've been very hush-hush about this, and it's worked to perfection. And we're not done today. Outside of discussing this with the Board of Supervisors, we're also going to be dealing with the surrounding municipalities of San Leandro, Berkeley, Alameda, Hayward, Fremont, Dublin, Livermore, and we have an event coming up on Super Bowl Sunday. We call it our Charitable Super Bowl Sunday. And what we're going to be doing that day at the Plank on February 4th is inviting the public down, and we have these committees we have created where the pro-Oaklanders on social media who follow us everywhere, who've been wondering what's going on, now we're informing the public what's going on. This is an opportunity for you to come on down, to break bread with us, and we have opportunities for you to start being hands-on with this process with us. So we just want to make that clear. On the table over there, there's a flyer for that event. So before you leave today, please grab a flyer, as well as when we're done talking today, the last 5 minutes leading up to 9 o'clock or so will be a Q&A session if any of the media and our supporters have any questions. With that said, Ray Baba, please.
So again, we wanted to just move forward. We do have Supervisor Miley, who is going to be coming down, and he is going to be saying a few words. But while we're waiting for him, we wanted to just give a little bit more detail as it relates to what we would be looking for in the way of awards. If we could get one of our 3 municipalities to come on board to support this process. First and foremost, we'd be looking very seriously at how we would be able to keep this team here. That would be the first objective. We realize that football operation has made a commitment to leave. However, at the end of the day, the Constitution of the NFL is the Constitution. The guidelines are the guidelines. Secondly, if that was not achievable or attainable or agreeable, we'd be looking at the Raider name and the colors, staying here and requiring that there be a NFL franchise expansion team here in Oakland that would be called the Oakland Raiders. The third option would be that we would get an expansion team and have to rebrand and recreate it. These are our options, and these are the things that we're looking for. The final thing would be a settlement to pay off the bond debt and pay off the interest that the taxpayers have been responsible for. We truly feel that the city of Oakland, the region of Alameda County, has done nothing wrong to have lost our football team. You know, ultimately, the last time that this team relocated, the NFL voted to not allow relocation. And the antitrust laws were used by the Raiders to relocate anyway. At that time, then Commissioner Rozelle said that the antitrust laws clearly did not contemplate a team selling out for 12 years and losing its franchise. That just was not contemplated. So we have still sold out the stadium. The NFL Constitution requires that there be 4 years of net operating losses, that there be a decrease in fan participation, that there be a decrease in encouragement, that there be no viable option. We know that there was a viable option in Oakland. We know that to be the case. We know that there was a viable option in this region. The truth is that, you know, we have a viable option here, it was on the table, and the Raiders did not come to the table and negotiate with us. So we're hoping that what happened in St. Louis can be confirmed, and we will see, because we've been keeping a very close eye on that. And so that's what's reactivated us so strongly, is the St. Louis ruling, which is a huge ruling. So with that said, I want to introduce Supervisor Nate Miley, who has been working with our coalition as well to pursue these options. So without further ado, Supervisor Nate Miley.
So good morning, everyone. I've been working with the 4 Oakland ever representatives for, I don't know, it seems like forever. Yeah, it does, because I think we started this effort last summer or before, and I've had a lot of meetings with them, a lot of phone conversations, a lot of discussions and strategy sessions. Also, we've met with a number of law firms that have been very interested in pursuing legal action to support the county, the city, JPA, and any endeavors that we might choose to undertake in order to either keep the Raiders here or pursue possibilities of securing expansion team, naming rights, and other things. The legal theories, I'm not going to get into that. The biggest one is antitrust. It's the biggest legal theory. And as I said, a number of law firms have approached us. As a county supervisor and also the chair of the Joint Powers Authority for the Coliseum in the arena, you know, I'm very, very, very supportive of the 4 Oakland position around this, and I'm extremely encouraged by the fact that a number of prominent law firms would like to represent us in order to secure a good position for the public sector and to ensure the public good, so that we can preserve jobs, preserve goodwill, economic viability, and just other things that really indicate the importance of having professional sports teams located here in the city of Oakland, Alameda County, and the East Bay. So I'm here in solidarity with Forever Oakland, and I'll continue to be in solidarity with Forever Oakland, because I think the cause is just and righteous and and serves the public interest.
We do have one other speaker. It's going to be Assembly Member Bonta. And one of the things that we're pursuing from a state perspective is to do hearings, relocation hearings, where the state does have the ability to subpoena. We would be interested in finding out specifically what the circumstances were surrounding the negotiations in preparation for what we are looking at from a legal perspective. So that we've asked for the state to look at this situation as well. We've asked for all of our municipalities to look at this situation. As we said, we just thought it was very important that the public knew that we had these options available to us. I think that there's been a concern that taking on and exploring legal options with the Raiders in the NFL would be a costly circumstance to taxpayers, where taxpayers would be responsible if there was a legal action taken, if there could be an exploration and identify a way to do that. We are just exploring these options, and so what we've said is, because we do have this ability to have a contingency agreement in place where there'll be no risk to explore the options, it would behoove of us to look at these options, because ultimately, at the end of the day, these are the things that would be able to resolve bond debt, resolve interest debt. It would be able to, in addition to that, most importantly, keep NFL football in Oakland. Keeping NFL football in Oakland is something that is important to the District 7, District 6 community that is the most underserved, as we stated, but it's a regional issue. It's a regional issue. It's a state issue. Right now, the NFL has 4 teams in California, and so it's a state issue as well. So we're just asking, as community citizens, we've pushed this process. We've done all the footwork. We've put everything in place. We've identified the different institutions to support us. We've identified the different law firms. We've pursued them. We've created a circumstance in which we felt like there'd be really difficult to deny or decline our ability to at least have this process explored. So we just wanted to, put that together, and what we wanted to do it now is we wanted to open it up for question and answers.
All of these anonymous fancy lawyers, are they going to sue the NFL, or are they going to sue the Raiders?
Well, what they would do is, first and foremost, there would have to be we would have to get a client first. It would have to be one of our 3 municipalities. Once that occurred, then they would identify a legal strategy that would either pursue the Raiders or pursue the NFL. They would explore that. They would present that to the municipality, and it's exploratory. It doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a complaint filed immediately, but this is an exploration process. So yes, it could be either or.
Good question.
For Supervisor Miley and Councilman Gallo, what are the next steps in this process? I mean, what action does the Board of Supervisors need to take to move this forward?
Well, the Board of Supervisors, we've been meeting and discussing this, I would say, over the last few months, and we'll meet again. It's all been in closed session because it's potential litigation. We'll meet again this morning to discuss whether or not to enter into contingency agreement with any of the law firms that have approached us. At the moment, we've just been evaluating, doing our due diligence. Various supervisors have been informed. We have not made a decision to go forward. We have not made a decision not to go forward. We've just been doing our due diligence. The Joint Powers Authority, of which I'm the chair, made a decision months and months ago not to pursue this. But at the time the Joint Powers Authority made that decision, we didn't have law firms that were approaching us with a full contingency. That could change the direction the Joint Powers Authority might decide relative to this, because one of the entities, either the JPA, the city, or the county, needs to be the plaintiff.
When will you make a final decision?
I can't tell you when the county will make a final decision. Right now, it's continuing to be discussed. When the county took this up initially, there was one sort of set of factors and circumstances. I think at this moment, the set of facts and circumstances are even better.
Thank you, Nate. And we'll continue the questions, but we have one more guest speaker representing the state of California, State Assemblyman Rob Bonta. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Good morning. It's an honor to be here with you. And I'm Rob Bonta. I serve in the California State Assembly. I represent the great cities of Oakland, Alameda, and San Leandro. And I just want to really say how proud I am to stand side by side and shoulder to shoulder with Forever Oakland and Grizz and Ray and John and the whole team, and with Supervisor Miley and City Council Member Gallo. I'll ask you for the same thing, simply that we look at all the options before us and make sure that we're being thorough and doing all we can to either keep an Oakland franchise or a Raiders franchise in Oakland if possible, or to make sure that we protect our residents from paying bond debt and protect them economically. Obviously, I, like so many of you and those of us standing up here, was incredibly disappointed when the Raiders decided that they wanted to move to Las Vegas, and similarly disappointed that the owners in the league were allowing the move. And certainly that move creates a lot of challenges for our community, from the loss of jobs and economic stimulus to the loss of civic pride and the loss of a local treasure. And with the $83 million in bond debt that remains in the Coliseum, that's something that we don't want to be left holding. And if it's possible to keep the Raiders or keep the Raiders franchise or get economic relief, I think it's prudent for us to explore those options. So we got to keep all the tools in the toolbox, make sure we use them, make sure we explore all of our options, and that's what I'm here to say full-throatedly with the great folks behind me that are standing with me. So thanks for the opportunity to be here, and let's explore all of our options. Thank you.
And as you can see, we've assembled quite a team of very committed people to the citizens of Alameda County. We're going to continue that process, so that's why we want to encourage anyone that's here, after we answer any more questions, at 9:30 a.m. this morning, you're welcome to go up to Alameda County Board of Supervisors chambers. They're going to have a closed session, and it's an opportunity for people that we have that are going to get up there and potentially speak in front of them. So with further ado, does the media and our supporters have any more questions? Well, go ahead, Ray.
Well, we just wanted to thank everybody for coming. We hope that this information has been helpful in regards to what our next steps are and what the options are, and the fact that we're exploring all of our options is just the key thing that we wanted to put forth. So thank you so much for coming, and have a great day.
Thank you guys very much.
If you guys want to do any one-on-ones with anyone, just let us know.
Let's stream it right now. So, yeah. Okay. All right, bye.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. What's up, man? Good
How you doing?
Pretty good.
So how you feel about that?
I'm excited that that this is continuing. We'll have to see where this goes. I'm really hopeful that they'll pursue legal action, and maybe the NFL won't even. There's a lot of issues with Las Vegas. They've only hit their benchmark once for the taxes that they receive from the hotel tax. So they're behind, and there's a lot of issues in Las Vegas. So hopefully the threat of a lawsuit and the malfunctioning in Las Vegas will discourage them, and maybe they'll change their mind. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It's a waiting game.
It's a waiting game. Definitely
What's up, Grizz?
Good day. Good day. How are you?
Say hi to Zenny and all the folks out there.
To our worldwide supporters, man, it's all about Forever Oakland, only in Oakland. 2018 is looking very bright. We are excited. Continue to support the cause. And Zenny, never, ever put out false information about Forever Oakland starting something up again just because you're not in the loop. We have never shut it down. We're stronger than ever. And just so you guys know, that gag order is going to continue until we finish these final steps. So just because you don't hear anything, that means we're working harder. But continue to support us, my people. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Great to see you.
All right.
How's it going?
Thank you.
Folks out here.
Hey. So, good work.
How you guys doing? You guys here to support? Here to support?
We've been to every meeting.
Nice.
All of them.
So how does this make you feel?
It's encouraging.
Encouraging.
It's still a fight.
It's still always a fight. Always a fight. So you going into the meeting?
Yeah, we're going to stick around.
Yeah. Hopefully we can make things move. All right. Well, that was the meeting. Sorry for the shaky camera work. I was right between a couple of guys who are operating their network TV cameras, and I was getting jostled around a little bit. Plus, I'm a little bit shivery. It's a little bit cold this morning. I don't know if we'll be able to do anything inside with the actual meeting. I'm going to go ahead and go in and at least take a listen and see if anything happens. I'll be back with you guys in just a little bit.